Hello, Crina, and welcome to my podcast.
Hi, Daniela. I'm super happy to be here.
Oh, the happiness is shared between us and the energy. I'm sure it will be a great episode. So, Crina, I'd like to ask you because you're Moldovan as well and you're abroad as well. um,
Yes.
I would like to ask you about your journey. Maybe if you can talk to us a little bit about the countries that you lived in, because I've been following your journey for a few years now, and it's always exciting to see you in different countries every time. So, would you talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. So, should I start with the list of the countries where I lived in, or the list of the countries that I visited?
As you wish, but probably where you lived in, because I assume you
Sure.
visited so much more. So it's up to you how much you want to talk about it. So probably where
Yes.
you lived, I guess.
Yeah, because I guess this matters the most.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I was born in Moldova and I lived in Moldova till I was 18. Then I moved to Romania, to Bucharest. I
Mm-hmm.
moved there for my studies. I started working in Romania. I fell in love. I fell in love with Romania. I fell in love with myself. I got into a very serious relationship with a good boy. And then I moved to where I moved. My plan was to move after my studies. My plan was to move to USA.
Mm-hmm.
I finished two universities, so I was like 23, 24 when I first came to USA. I came here for a couple of months. Actually, I came here with the idea of moving, of staying here, but I changed my mind. I changed my plans. It was more difficult than I anticipated things to be, and I decided to come back to Romania. So I stayed one more year in Romania. I settled down. I got a job, and I decided I don't want to travel that much. I don't want to. I want just to find my place, to find my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to be. I actually needed this comfort zone only for 1 year. Then I decided again I'm gonna live somewhere. So that's how I ended up in Bali. I decided I want to spend a couple of months in traveling in Asia, and my first destination was Bali, Indonesia. And I fell in love with Bali. I fell in love with the island, with the lifestyle, with everything I was living. It was 2015, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was 2015. Mm, and that was my first trip to Bali, and that was also when I decided I want to live there. So my trip for a couple of weeks turned out to be a stay for a couple of months, even years, I would say. So I end up staying in Bali. Ended up not traveling in other places in Asia. I just wanted to save all my money and to stay as long as possible in Bali. After 4 months, I found even a job. So I was working for this Australian company. I was working online doing digital marketing,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the job that I manifested this job because it was everything I wanted it to be.
Oh.
What I wanted to learn, how I wanted my schedule to be like. I wanted to work from my computer. I wanted to be able to travel. I wanted to be able to do my own schedule. I wanted to learn from somebody. And actually, my let's say my boss was also my mentor. So I learned a lot from him, not only about the digital marketing, but about everything. And he could see something in me, and he was always pinpointing, and he's like, I see something in you, but I don't understand. You have some talents. I know you are here to do something, but still I cannot figure out what. And he was also the one that kind of introduced me to this world of retreats, of events, of not self-development. I wouldn't say self-development, because that's something that I was already studying and I was super interested already for years and years. But the concept of retreats I guess he was the one that introduced it to me, and that's how the idea of organizing my own retreats came, because I was already working with entrepreneurs. I was already being able to do this for other people, and I was like, why wouldn't I do this for myself, especially that I'm so passionate about self-development, I'm so passionate about yoga, about this island. um, I knew that I can show the island to people that are visiting. I can show them totally different experiences that they would never be able to live when they come just for vacation. So that's how my idea of retreats came. That's how it all started 6 years ago. Wow, 6 years ago or 5 years ago, I don't even know. uh, and yeah, and I settled down in Bali, and that's where I also met my husband. He's from India, and 1 month after we started dating, he asked me if I would like to move to Mumbai. And even though I already had a very good life in Bali, I had like I would say that my life in Bali was like from movies, you know, when you see these young people living the lifestyle, going surfing, going for breakfast, working whenever they want, having parties, meeting people, and all of this. So I had a very, very nice lifestyle. And when he asked me if I want to move to Mumbai, without thinking for even 1 second, I said, yeah, sure, I want to move with you in Mumbai, India. So after meeting Shiraz, I think it was, so we met in February, and I moved to India in June. And 2 days before moving to India, he came to Bali and proposed. So I kind of I kind of went into India already as a fiance. Yeah. So that was kind of like my journey. That's how I moved to India. 4.5 years ago, or 4 years ago. I stayed more than 4 years in India, and this year in September, end of August, I kind of moved to USA, to California. So I'm saying I'm kind of, because we haven't moved out of India. Like, our home is still there, our business is still there, our friends, and I don't know, my clothes, let's say like that, everything is still there. So we kind of left with 2 luggages each, knowing that anyways we're gonna come back to India, anyways we're gonna spend time also there, but most of the time is gonna be here. Not many people know, but Shiraz's family lives here in California for more than 20, 30 years, like all his cousins, his sister, his father, his nieces, everybody is here in California. So that's why we were coming every year. We would spend 1 month per year here. And that was kind of the first thing that Shiraz told me when we met, that he wants to eventually settle down in California. And I was like, really, again in US? I'm not sure if I want to do it. I love Asia. I love the freedom and I don't know, this kind of like lack of rules and like the flow that Asia has. But finally last year I was like, no, I'm ready to start it all over again. I'm ready to grow even bigger, because even though every time I moved, and I moved many times in my life, I had to go through this process of getting rid of all my things, all my clothes, starting all from scratch, not knowing anybody, meeting people, building a life. It's not something new for me. I went through this many times, but I was like, I think I'm too old to do this again, you know. It's one thing to do it at 18, at 20, at 25, but then I'm like, oh my god, I'm already 31, I have to do it all over again. but it's exciting, and maybe it's not the most comfortable thing to do, but every single time I did this in my life, I grew even bigger. It's kind of like I expanded. So I'm curious to see what this new stage is going to bring.
That's so nice. I was going to say you probably are very good at packing because you.
Oh, I'm so good at packing. You cannot even imagine. I'm super good at packing. I
Oh.
now talking about packing, I remembered all the times that I had to pack for Shiraz, that I had to show him that nothing is impossible, that everything can fit. And then I remember how when I was a student, I was traveling to Spain for 1 week for my Easter vacation. And of course, with super, super low budget. And I had only my hand luggage because it was cheaper to travel with, it was Blue Air, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had to have like a big luggage, you had to pay like almost double the money, so it's like, no, I'm going to travel with a hand luggage. And of course they verified how many kilos, but they did this exactly at the gate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I had no time, so they were like, no, you cannot do this, you have to throw them. So I threw away some books. I couldn't throw away my computer, and I started putting clothes on myself.
I was going to ask you, did you start wearing the clothes? I would do that, definitely.
And I remembered, because even though I was a student, I was traveling so much. Like I was making money, but all the money I was making, I was spending on traveling.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have my habits kind of like, I'm just letting all the people stay in a line and go the first ones in the plane. I'll be here chilling, and I'll be the last one boarding the plane. Like what's the deal to be the first one,
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I was the last one, and they were almost like shutting gates and all of this, and I had to put all those clothes on me. So yes, I had many.
I know, I have the same
I'm
thing.
super good at packing.
Why do people rush at? I don't have no idea. I just like wait till everyone is settling. Except that sometimes maybe your luggage doesn't fit and they're like, oh, sorry, you don't
Yeah,
have space inside.
Shiraz is one of those people that wants to board first, and I'm the other opposite, that waits to be called on the on
Yeah,
the microphone.
makes you feel more
Crina
special, right?
Andrei, we are waiting for you.
I totally understand you. So, Crina, you said something, and I wanted to ask you that before going to the next question.
Mm-hmm.
You said something about manifesting your dreams, and I know you talk a lot about that, and we'll talk a bit later about that as well. But
Yeah.
what's interesting for me is that all these times that you moved, every time it was very unplanned, and maybe it was something that you didn't expect it to happen. However, you still manifested your dreams of what you were supposed to do, for example. So my question is, do you need to allow some flexibility in your dreams so that you can fulfill yourself and be, manifesting your dreams, but in the same time allowing flexibility to do things that you never expected that you'll do, or move to places that you never expected that you will be moving?
Yeah. So I would start with two ideas.
Mm-hmm.
We are always manifesting. We are always creating something, even if it's something conscious or unconscious, even if it's something good or not that good for us, but we are always manifesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different story to consciously manifest, to consciously put your attention and energy where you want it to grow. But what you said about flexibility, oh, it's like the biggest, I don't know if there would be something that would make your life easier and will change your life in a better way, would be this idea and this notion of being flexible.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that if you don't put that much resistance, be it a relationship, be it a manifestation, be it an idea of how you want your life to be, if you don't put resistance, if you leave yourself to be in the flow, to be flexible, magic happens. And the most important is for you to start observing, because sometimes, we have like a very stiff idea of how things have to turn out. I don't know. Let me give you an example of this weekend. I had to go to the postal office on Sunday I wanted to send a phone to my brother to Moldova.
Mm-hmm.
And because I did a live on Instagram and I stayed a little bit longer than expected, of course I didn't have time to go to the postal office because it was already closed. It was Sunday. So Shiraz came up just like from out of nowhere, just why don't we go to Las Vegas? And I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it,
Mm-hmm.
So I could have suffered, and I could have I could have just stay upset all day that I didn't have the time to go to the postal office, and the phone will not reach in time to Vegas. I had a friend that was going from Vegas to Moldova.
Mm-hmm.
But having this mindset of being flexible, I just noticed that maybe something happened for a better in a better way, like
Mm-hmm.
it's not that bad to go to Vegas and spend 3 days, it's not bad at all. So
Yeah, I've seen your pictures as well because you've been before and you're doing comparison of how you used to be last time
yeah
when you went to Las Vegas. So it was probably emotionally very nice for you as well.
yeah, it was, even though like we've been coming to California every single year since we are together, and but I haven't gone to Vegas in all these years. So
Mm-hmm.
after like such a long time, like after 7 years, it was like a good uh, circle moment. I don't know how to explain it. It was like it brought back all the memories from back then, and it's like I was happy back then. I was super, super happy back then, and I'm super happy now, even though everything changed. Back then, I came with some strangers that I met a couple of days before. Back then, I came with a super limited budget. I was, I don't know, like we were sharing a room with more people so we can save on the cost,
Mm-hmm.
So it's really not about anything from the exterior. It's not about who you are with. It's not about how much money you have, what kind of shoes you wear or something like that. It's like how you feel from the inside, and I was feeling good even back then.
Oh, it's nice to just stop and reflect on these things because so many people just forget about that or forget to be thankful and grateful for whatever they have in that particular moment. And it's just beautiful that you say all these things. And as you say, it didn't bother you. The differences are huge, but you were still happy. So I think it's important to
Yeah.
just be happy with what we have. Obviously, to have
So
dreams and
I kind
aspirations. Sorry?
Yeah, I kind of trained myself this way. I kind of made a
Mm-hmm.
habit out of this, and I kind of put my attention into making it like a discipline.
Mm-hmm.
I also made some videos about this on Instagram, that I always um, try to observe what happened good. I always try to emphasize what I'm grateful for. Like, I'm not making a big deal out of my problems and out of my challenges. They are there, but I'm not making a big deal out of them. I
Mm-hmm.
am making a big deal out of the smallest things that I made good in a day or in my life, Like,
Mm.
I am my biggest cheerleader, and that's something that if everybody would learn, and of course not everybody, it's not something that you are born with or something that comes like from out of nowhere. It's something that it's like a seed that you have to plant and you have to water it every single day. And I'm super, super thankful and grateful that I saw this year, started working with the girls that I'm coaching. I
Mm-hmm.
saw that it's something that I can also teach. It's something that I can also, how to say, in to bring this discipline in their life of seeing the good things, of celebrating their small wins or big wins or their talents or things that they're good at.
That's so beautiful. I've seen some testimonials from the girls that you're teaching, and their transformation is amazing. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, but like we are transforming ourselves every single day of our life, but sometimes we just don't notice it. We just, no, it's fine, it's okay, it's normal,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's so great to talk to you. I just feel like I'm blossoming just talking to you.
I'm super happy.
Oh, I just want to ask you to stop a little bit in India because obviously it's a huge country. So when I say India, you'll probably talk more about Mumbai specifically because
Yes.
I'm interested to know about the process of you adapting to a new culture and maybe what were similarities that you observed and what were differences, because I have Indian friends, and again, you can't compare because India is so big. It's so full of different
Yeah.
customs and cultures and religions and
And
so on.
languages.
And languages, exactly. But at least me talking to my Indian friends, we found some
Yeah.
similarities in mentality, especially in the relationship with our parents, for example. So I'm curious to know if you find something similar and then something different, probably more
Okay.
differences.
So I'm gonna start with similarities between the cultures, and then I'm gonna
Yes,
continue talking about India as a country.
perfect.
Yes, similarities are so many. Like, like how we have all the sayings or all the beliefs or all the, like, Shiraz would always tell me, my grandmother was saying this, my grandmother was
Mm-hmm.
saying that, like all those sayings. And I don't remember, even recently, I was so shocked. We were talking about something. I'm like, really? You have? I know, I remembered. So yes, similarities are crazy, are so many. And so many people are asking me, like, do you feel any difference in culture and blah, blah, blah. And to be honest, I feel like Indians and Moldovans have so many things in common. It's just crazy. For me, it's my comfort zone. For
Oh,
me, it's not something that, oh, I had to learn to deal with this and that and blah, 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 or I had to learn to understand. Like, I feel that if I would go maybe in a country from Europe, for example, France or Germany or Austria, I think that for me would be much more difficult and out of my comfort zone to learn how those people think, react, believe, communicate, and so on. Like India, for I don't know, and I'm curious if more Moldovans felt the same, but I feel like it's so familiar and it's so the same, like it feels like our grandparents lived in the same village.
oh.
So it's very similar, but again, the family of my husband and my husband, they're not at all super traditional. Like I never had any problems because they have like a very stiff mentality or something like that. They don't, they
Mm-hmm.
of course every culture has limiting beliefs and so forth, but it's so similar with Moldova. This was my experience. I'm sure that maybe if I would have lived in another family, if I would have met somebody else, I don't know, from different region or maybe from different or that are more traditional or more religious, maybe it would have been a different experience. I have a friend in India. She's Moldovan. Actually, she's my only friend that is Moldovan that also lives in Mumbai. She's also married to an Indian guy,
Mm-hmm.
and she's telling me all the stories about how they have it in the Indian movies, like the mother-in-law or how they're doing, how they're saying, how blah, blah, blah. I haven't experienced this. I'm not saying that it's not real, but for me it was very easy. Like for me was like coming back home, kind of. I don't know how to explain this, but as a country, as you rightly said, it's too big. It's like a continent. It's like every region is so different. People are so different in different regions, um, languages and everything. And I visited many places in India, but not that many. And all the places that I chose to visit in India and also to make retreats were places that are that are like kind of like my taste. I don't know how to explain this. Like
Mm-hmm.
I like for places to be beautiful. I'm a very visual person, so I like beauty, I like nature, I like cleanliness, I like luxury, and I'm not afraid to say that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, I would go to the North Rajasthan area where there are all those hotels that are palaces that are turned into hotels, and that's like, oh my God, you feel like you're a queen. I went to Goa, I went to Kerala, where there is ocean, there is nature. So I didn't choose to go in the how to say in the poorest areas of India, and I'm not saying that this is not a good experience. Everybody is choosing what they want to see, but for me, I want to see. I'm not curious to see poor villages or how poor people live or something like that. I'm not. It's not that brings me the interest. I like to see nature. I like to see lush. I like to see history. I like to see, I don't know.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
kind of picked my destinations in India. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
thought,
but
yeah, sorry, continue.
no, you tell me, you tell me.
I was just going to say, I totally get it because even when you talk about one particular city, let's say even London, some people
Yeah.
really love it, some people really hate it. It depends what you're looking in it, what you're seeing, what's your experience. So I totally understand what you're describing, and being in nature is just,
Yeah, and you know, like I heard this so many times. People saying, "No, you have to experience the real the India. You have to go where, like, in the poorest villages and so on and so forth." And it's like saying, "Okay, the history, the good things about it, the palaces, the nature, the hotels, the resorts, the beaches, they don't matter. You just go and choose the worst thing." It's like saying you go to Bucharest and instead of going to Herăstrău, to Centru Vechi, to north of Bucharest, you better go to Rahova because this is the real experience of Bucharest. I
mhm.
have never been to Rahova and I would never go to Rahova. Why would I go? You
Yeah,
know, so it's the same about India. You choose where you want to go and what you want to see.
yeah,
And I also realized, because I've been in the same shoes before, no, before visiting, before going for the first time to India, I had no idea how it is, and I could not even imagine how it is. Like, it was something so, I heard so many things from the TV, and everybody is talking that it's so dirty, that you're gonna die, that you cannot eat, and you can blah blah blah, you know.
mm,
So I was like thinking that you're just walking on the street and you are just, everything is like a garbage bin, you know. Like, I could not even imagine how it is, but it's not nothing like that. And my first place where I went in India was Goa.
mhm.
I was going for my yoga teacher training, and I was thinking, oh, I'm gonna lose weight. I won't have that much to eat, so good. I'm gonna lose some weight and blah blah blah. Of course, I was eating, like, the food was amazing. So, um, but yeah, I kind of understand this, why people would have this kind of like judgmental thoughts,
Mhm.
because I also, like, even though I was, like, I would say open-minded, because I traveled, I moved to places, but still I could not even imagine how India is, because of so many things you hear at the TV, in the news, people talking around you. Like, if you'd know how many people are talking about India and don't even know where it is on the map, you know, it's like
Yeah.
they are telling you everything, but they have never experienced anything, and I guess they don't even know anybody that have experienced this. And I
Mm.
remember even my father, like, my parents have been super super open with me and trusting me and doing whatever, letting me do whatever I want. But when I lived in Bali and I told them that I'm going for a month in India to do my teacher training, my father was like, Crina, I never told you a no, but this time I'm telling you, no, you are not allowed. And I was
Wow.
like already 25. I'm like, Dad, you don't understand. I already paid and I'm going. It's not like I'm asking for your permission or something, you know. He's like, no, you are not allowed. And I'm like, yeah, right. So he was so afraid, you know, just this misconception of, oh my God, my daughter is going to India, she's gonna die, you know. And he
Wow.
was like, and you have to understand, I moved from my hometown when I was 18, and of course they had no control, like I did everything alone and all of this. But this time he was like, no, please go to the embassy as soon as you arrive in India, please put yourself on GPS so I can see where you are, you know. Like he was so scared that I'm going there. So yeah, so it's funny, there's so many misconceptions, but India is such an amazing country, and the history and the energy and people and their culture and everything they know and how they are and what kind of faith they have, how they believe, how they know in what to believe. It's just amazing. It's like a breath of fresh air in this world.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I know what you mean about preconception as well. It's sad that you can put fears into people without knowing or experiencing
Yeah.
themselves. So I was going to move to the next thing that I want to talk about you, and it's about your activities because you have more of them and they kind of
Mm-hmm.
correlate to each other. But you start talking about whichever you want to do because you
So I'll
have,
just take them
yeah,
in a order.
yeah, take them in order. Okay.
how how I birthed them, let's say like that.
Yeah, sounds
So
good.
my first child, my first personal child.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, or maybe I have to talk about my children from my previous relationship. So actually, when I moved to Romania, I started working as a dance teacher, and
Ah,
I
I didn't
opened
know about that.
soon, like after a couple of months, I opened my own dance school. So I had it like for 3-4 years during my student years. I had the dance school. Um,
That's amazing.
yeah, and then I also did some course for aerobics and gym instructor and all of this. Like I was very much into getting to know the body and getting to work with the body. Of course, my studies were in PR, were in marketing, and I was also having some projects on this side. But like as my own businesses, this was like my first business of having the dance school. So as I told you, I started making money and being able to provide for myself from the first year since I moved to Romania.
Mm-hmm.
But then I had periods of time when I didn't have the money because I was spending it, you know. And of course, I don't regret it for 1 second. I was spending it on traveling, so I could travel with a couple of hundreds of dollars, or I could travel with $200, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So this was my first thing. Then when I moved to Bali, as I mentioned before, I worked for a company where I had a salary, and this was more than enough for me to have like a super nice lifestyle, to put a little bit aside to travel. And then I had the idea of doing the retreats. And at the beginning, to be honest, I didn't had it like an idea for the business. It was more like, oh, let's try, let's do it. It's something that excites me, you know. It's not something that, oh, I'm gonna make it like my full-time job or something.
Mm-hmm.
So because this was like 5-6 years ago, it had a boom because we were the first ones in Romania organizing retreats outside. And actually the concept of retreats, nobody was organizing back then retreats, you know. It was
Mm-hmm.
something that started blooming more in Australia and in the US, and we kind of like, I'm happy to say that I was the one bringing the concept of retreats in Romania. And also the fact that 5-6 years ago, not many Romanians, not many Europeans were traveling to Bali. So organizing retreats in Bali had a big success. Like we had more participants than we expected. We had to, instead of one retreat, we had to do one after another, and kind of like uh, ecologically, without any promotion, without any ads, without any to pay somebody to say anything, just from word of mouth and just from people seeing our pictures, experiences, and like that. My barefoot journey retreat started and bloomed naturally. So we started making retreats in Bali, India, Sri Lanka.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the same time, like maybe after 1 year after I started the retreats, I started working with silver in Bali. So I started making silver jewelry in Bali. um, that was like already, it was a dream that I had for many years already, to start to make meaningful jewelry, but it seemed so impossible and so far away. And then I started with silver. For a moment I moved to India. I couldn't find a team that works in silver, because in India they really work very good in gold. Like silver is not very much appreciated in India, and it costed me too much to have somebody to work in silver for the same price as in gold. I don't know if this makes sense,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like because you pay for every piece for the hours of work. So the same person that works in gold would charge me the same price for silver, but silver jewelry is cheap. Like it costed me too much. So then I gave up kind of idea. I continued to work with the team in Bali, and I continued to sell just in my retreats and just like in a very small quantity, because I didn't have the time. It was not something that would have wouldn't continue.
Mm-hmm.
So of course I was a little bit sad, because it was, but I was content that kind of like I fulfilled my dream of working with jewelry and I made it happen. But okay, it has to at some point not grow that much, because I'm not in Bali anymore. But as we talked before about flexibility and about seeing that maybe something that is not that good maybe is kind of the beginning of something that is even better. That's how I started. That's how India made me start working with gold and precious gemstones, because I couldn't work. Like there were no workers for silver, there were workers only for gold. I had to upgrade my mindset, because it was a lot of work for my mindset. Because imagine I was selling silver bracelets with $30 and I was making $5 a bracelet.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have to make some gold bracelet that I pay only for the making $300 or something like that. And then all the cost of gold and this and that. So it's like, oh my God, I'm never gonna be able to sell even one piece. Who's gonna buy and all of this. So it was a lot of work with my mindset, and I had to upgrade myself so I can be able to sell something that is upgraded.
Mm-hmm.
um, so this is how Mayuri started, and I'll never ever be able to be grateful enough to Mayuri, to my brand, to gemstones, to jewelry, because it kind of grew me also. I don't feel like I grew the brand. I feel like the brand grew me. It kind of like brought me even closer and closer to the person that I knew that I can become.
Mm-hmm. And
So
it's
yeah, so that's how I started. Yeah, tell me.
sorry to interrupt. I remember you were saying something that they are sustainably sourced gemstones as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Yes. Uh, every gemstone, every diamond, color stone, and so on and so forth has the source. It's ecological and ethical. It has an ecological source.
Mm-hmm.
So and the workers are well paid and good salaries, and they are the best
Craftsman.
craftsmen from Mumbai. And even like, for example, if somebody would uh, if you think that, oh, I can go to India and I can find the same, no, you cannot. It's like something that I feel like I was so lucky to find my team and to find all the contacts. And because even if you are from Mumbai, even if you are from India, it's difficult to find the same quality, the same craftsmanship, the same kind of gemstones. And gemstones we source from all parts of India. That's why I always tell clients, okay, I'm gonna start working on your order. I'm gonna start searching for your gemstone, but I need you to be 100% sure that you want this gemstone, because sometimes it takes weeks of work and sometimes it takes like, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 people to be contacted to, for them to send from one part of India to another, you know. It's like a lot of work into this. And for example, in these 2 years and a half since I started working on custom made orders, it happened to me just once, and this was very recently, like last month, I think. It happened to me just once for me to do all the work, to search for the gemstone, to find the gemstone, to buy the gemstone, and the client cancel. And I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe, like, it's so much work. How can you not, you know, like, it's so disrespectful for so many people that were involved. It took us weeks to find the perfect emerald. But as one of my beliefs is that the problems and the challenges are here to grow us and to show us how can it make better. So kind of this situation made me understand that no, this time, no, next time, or actually I will start from January next year, we will start first getting the payment for the sourcing fee. And no matter if you cancel or not cancel, at least all those people are paid, you know. I don't have to
I was going to say you can take a deposit or something just to make sure that
we always take a deposit when we already put the order, but
before
sourcing
it.
the gemstone, we don't take the deposit. So this time it won't be a deposit, it's gonna be a payment, you know. So it's kind of like
makes sense. I mean, you have to think
to implement details.
You're an entrepreneur, you have to think about all these things. So it's natural and normal. I was going to ask you if the rumor is true that Beyoncé herself wore something from Mayuri. How do you pronounce it? Mayuri? Mayuri.
Mayuri, yes.
Did the Beyoncé's team buy something from you? Is that true?
Not buy. They buy.
No. Okay. They just borrowed it.
Yes. So there was a wedding in India. It was the daughter of one of the richest Indian men. Of course, they had Beyoncé and more other people invited to entertain. And Beyoncé, when she came, she chose Indian outfits, Indian traditional jewelry, and so on and so forth. And my team was the one that created the Indian jewelry that she wore. So that's the story.
That's so amazing. I bet that was one of your milestones.
Not that much milestone. The more it was my team's, you know. Like whenever she's gonna call me and say, Crina, I'm coming to Las Vegas, to Los Angeles. Let's meet. I want to make a new order. That's gonna be a milestone for me.
No, but it's still
let me buy.
It's still a good thing to use for marketing, I suppose. But also, I really love how you talk about your team all the time, because I think it's important to value each other and the people that make this work. And sometimes some people just, you know, either undermine someone else's job or they don't want to, you know, appreciate it enough. And I love it that every time you just praise your team, and I think that's wonderful. Okay, so the next thing, we talked about retreats, we talked about jewelry. What about the online courses? Was that the next thing, or you correct me if I'm wrong?
Actually, it happened very organically and in the flow, that after 5 years of organizing retreats, after meeting so many beautiful women and helping and working with them and seeing their transformation, I was like, oh my God, I wish I could have more time with them rather than only 10 days. Like, if I would have more time, then I could really see the seeds of my work. So 2019 was a difficult year for me. It was difficult from many points of view. Some big challenges, like I didn't had in many years. I had them in 2019, but it was also difficult for the amount of work, how much I worked, how much I was like doing everything in the same time. And it's not it's for sure not something that I promoted, but I was at that level, especially with Mayuri, that I really had to work. And I was doing all those courses at the GIA that was taking a lot of my time. And then I was coming from retreat to retreat, and then I was doing everything in the same time. So I was like so tired. I was exhausted from work, and I was also exhausted from the I don't know how to, the challenging times that we had to go through.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew that I learned so much. I knew that I grew so much, and I kind of made a promise that in 2020 I'm gonna make a course. So I announced it in September of 2019 that, you know, I'm gonna make a course next year. I'm gonna coach a couple of girls, blah blah blah. So it was really my wish of like having of experimenting. Yeah, this was the word. I wanted to experiment if what worked on me, what information, what techniques, what kind of routine, discipline worked on me. I wanted to experience if it's gonna work on other people.
Mm-hmm.
So I really wanted to do this, but I had no idea how I'm gonna do it because I was so overwhelmed with work. But I announced it because I was like, okay, this is gonna keep me accountable, because if I don't announce it, if I don't tell people, then I'm gonna be okay next year, because that's what happened in the last 2 years. So in January, I was like, okay, I told them when in January I'm starting. I don't know how, I don't have 1 minute to plan the course or to give to somebody. I was so busy. And then in February, I announced the details. I started working with the girls in March. Imagine, on the 3rd of March, we made our first group, and our first, it was our first week. And like in 10 days, the lockdown happens.
Mm.
So it was such a perfect timing, because I was like, all my worries about I will not have time, I'm so busy, when I'm gonna do this and that, when I'm gonna plan, lockdown happened, and I had all the time in the world. So I had the time to really put my energy into this. Like our Mayuri atelier was closed. I couldn't take any orders. Orders that I took in February, even beginning of March, it took us almost half a year. Yes, from March. So in July we opened the atelier. August, September, that's when the clients received them, because it was such a weird time in the world. The atelier was closed for more than 4 months, and yeah, this was the time that I had plenty of time and energy to put into my course, and I could see big differences. And of course, I love the differences, the transformation. I loved the energy. I really thrive in a group.
Mm-hmm.
I'm I love working in groups. I guess this comes from retreats. And then I took one more group in the lockdown. So even though the plan was at least one, I want to try to see for one. So I took two groups. I just finished with the second group now in November. So yeah, so it all happened so perfectly. Like if I wouldn't have started, I don't know, maybe I wouldn't have nothing to work on, or maybe, of course, I would have invented something else during lockdown. So that's how I started doing groups, and I'm gonna take one more group next year. I decided I'm gonna take one more group with whom I'm gonna start coaching, and yeah, and this program of manifestation. Inside my coaching group, I also talked about manifestation, but
Mm-hmm.
because we had so much more topics to discuss and to work on, I didn't have enough time. I had like 3 or 4 workshops, 3 maybe, to work on this, and I, like, the girls already could see, and it was their favorite module, their favorite subject. They started playing with it. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna do it, but I need the time and space to organize everything so I can say everything I know, because I know from my own experience. I have read books, I have done courses, so I have lots of information. I just need to I just need
Organize
the
it.
space to yes.
Yeah. Oh.
So that's how the manifestation course happened. And I knew that I want to make it at the end of the year, because I wanted it to be like December, January, because that's when people start making their New Year's resolutions. That's when they have the faith, the belief that, oh, this year is going to be different. You know, they have this energy of starting something. So that's why I want to do it December, Jan.
I love how you took the lockdown. Of course, you had your own challenges with the atelier being closed. I'm sure you had a lot of things to sort out, but you kind of used that time in a different way, and you saw it in a positive way. Okay, I can't control all these things that are happening that are not in my power to change. But what I can do is to use this time in a very productive way. And I think this is very applaudable. I don't know if that's a word, but it's a really amazing way to think. And I'm sure that's years of working on your own mindset to think like that. So I just wanted to ask you towards the end, because, you know, the lockdown and the whole situation in the world put a lot of people down. A lot of people are going into depression, and because a lot of them don't think like you, for example, they don't see, oh, there is an opportunity to do something else. So I was wondering if you could give an advice on what they should start. I don't know, a small exercise or a little thing that they should repeat every day to make them feel better, so that they can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
I would advise the simplest things, maybe not the easiest, but the simplest things and the more effective and the most powerful are journaling and meditation. Like, it's something that you can do anywhere. It's something that you don't need somebody else. You don't need to invest the money. It's something that takes maybe half an hour of your day, and we all have half an hour of a day for it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that helps everybody, and I'm not afraid to say that.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to say that everybody. It really helps everybody. I really believe in this.
Yeah, when the first lockdown started, I started feeling a little bit of anxiety, and then I listened to Deepak Chopra. His voice is just so soothing, and I just started listening to his meditation, because I stopped for a while. I am into meditation and stuff, but usually I do guided meditation. And which type of meditation do you do?
I like all kinds of meditation, but the queen of meditation for sure for me is silent meditation.
So do you do that just for however time you can afford in that day to do? Yeah.
Usually I do the transcendental meditation 20 minutes a day. They recommend doing it twice a day, but actually I do it once a day. Shiraz is doing it for more than an hour.
Wow.
So what I advise my girls is to do it for at least 10 minutes.
And for the journaling that you're saying, do you just write how you feel, or do you write what you want to accomplish, or what kind of journaling is it?
Yes, you can write both. You can also write, for example, if you have some questions, or you don't understand what you are feeling, or you don't understand why you are feeling some kind of way, or you can just make a detox, you know, just write whatever comes into your mind. Just write without thinking, you know. It's like a very therapeutic exercise.
That's super, super useful. Thank you so much for all the information and for sharing so many things that I didn't know about you, and so many things that made me feel just good just talking to you, because you have a really nice energy. So thank you so much. I'm sure that people who listen to it will love it as well.
I hope so.
Yes, definitely. You always help people, so that's amazing. Keep doing the great work that you do, and all the best. Wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Diamond also came next to my microphone and is licking my face. So if you hear some weird noises, it's not me eating Diamond. It's Diamond.
Diamond misses you.
I'm just super impressed, you know, like I'm doing all kinds of workshops. I'm doing all kinds of calls on Zoom. And she always knows when I'm finishing, you know. Like she would come maybe 1 minute before I finish the workshop and start licking me. And I was
Oh,
like, thinking, maybe it's some words that I'm saying. Maybe it's because I say poo poo papa. You know, I always tell the girls poo
yeah.
poo papa. Maybe she learned this, you know. And I stopped saying anything, just observing if she's gonna come when I finish, and she always does. And it's
Oh,
so obvious how they understand energy. You know, they just understand that the discussion is ending. You know, we don't have this kind of understanding of we have only we don't use all our senses, but dogs have this. They, I don't know, the animals are just so amazing. She just
oh,
understands that, okay, this is energy of finishing something.
oh, they're super intuitive, aren't they? I really love dogs.
It's crazy, we
Oh,
can learn so much from them.
she's such a cutie as well. I adore her.
Thank
I
you
see
so
her in
much.
videos and pictures. She's just such a cutie.
She's coming down kissing me.
Oh, that's it. She wants and needs your attention now. So I'm going to leave you for now. Thank you so much.
Thank you too. Thank you.